creative friends. This is Joy. So I got this new Dino Weekly mixed media journal, and it's got all different kinds of pages in it, as you can see here, that I wanted to do an art journal page in. So I decided to pick this canvas page, which if you decide to do an art journal page on canvas, your best option is to put some wax paper underneath, which I did not, which caused me several issues with the sprays that I'm putting on here seeping through to the next page. And then when I went to glue stuff down, I about glued two pages together. Anyway, I managed. This is an idea that I got from Dino Weekly, where you go through a journal and you just stamp your stamps in there, and that way you can go through and look and see what you have and decide what you want to put on an art journal page, and then color it and cut it out. And so yeah, I thought that was a great idea. This way at least you get to use your stamps, and I've got tons of stamps and they never get used. So I decided one weekend just to fill this journal up with most, this isn't all my stamps, but a good portion of my stamps I stamped in this journal. And so I decided that I wanted to put this peacock on the page that I created or started. And so I pulled out my Arteza watercolor pens and decided to use those to color in the peacock. I found that the watercolor pens work the best with these stamped images, because then you could still see the stamped images through the colors that you put on the page. And when I tried to use paint pens or other mediums, then you couldn't see the stamped image anymore. So yeah, I found this was the best option and way to color these stamped images. And I use this mixed media journal, and I really like it because the paper is really heavy duty, and it stands up, to the watercolor and to gluing it down on your journal pages. So I'm just going through and coloring the image in, and if you're not interested in watching all this, you can certainly jump ahead. I know some people like kind of watching how people color things in. I do sometimes, and then some people don't really care to see that part of it. I am not an expert colorist by no means. I'm pretty amateurish when it comes to coloring in with paint pens or markers or anything like that. I don't know. I just, colored in the best I can, or however I decide to do it. And like with this peacock, I started out with a really dark green for the tail, and then I decided that's too dark. So I changed to a medium green, and then I felt like, well, that still seems kind of dark. Let me go lighter. So at the bottom, it was a light green. So it's like goes from dark green to medium green to light green. I was like, oh, whatever, it's fine. I mean, I could have gone over. I think the medium green would have probably been the right color, and I could have gone over the bottom lighter green with the medium green, but I just left it. I thought it's fine. I'm not, you know, I try not to be a perfectionist when it comes to this kind of stuff. I used to stress over every little detail, and it just sucks the fun out of it. So I try to be more free and not, be so concerned about every little thing. And trust me, on this journal page I made many a mistakes. For example, as I already mentioned, I almost glued two pages together. So anyway, I don't particularly care to fussy cut, so I decided I was just going to color the background around this peacock with this lighter green, and then that way I can quickly cut around the peacock to cut it out. So that's what I'm doing there, and so I'm cutting the peacock out of the journal and then just quickly going around it to cut it out. This here I think is the easiest way to do it, and that's the way I like to do it. So I went around the edges with a dark blue ink pad, but it doesn't really stand out against the page. And so a little bit later on, you'll see where I go around it with black. And here I have a whole bunch of quotes that I got like a box full of quotes that I've been saving up over the years. Recently, I went through and just pulled out a whole bunch of quotes because I want to use this journal as kind of like a quote journal. So I just pulled out a whole bunch of quotes that I really liked and decided I was going to fill this journal up with these different quotes. So I picked one that I liked, and I thought, well, I need something more than a peacock and a quote on the page. And I thought it'd be pretty to put some flowers on the page. So I know I had some flowers stamped in the journal, and here's another one where I started stamping in it. And I still got a lot more that I could stamp in that I'll probably go back and fill that one up. But I decided to cut these flowers out because they seemed the closest to the pink flowers that was on the peacock. And I wanted some leaves, so I knew I had some leaves in here somewhere, so I grabbed a couple leaves. And again, I use my Arteza watercolor pens to color these as well. And so I just do like a quick color. I usually do like the lightest color, and then I come back with a little bit darker color for some variation and shadowing just very quickly. Again, I just try to enjoy it and not stress over it and just have fun creating these art journal pages. And so that's what I'm doing here, and I go over it again to try to blend those colors together better. And then the green, I go with the light green, and then I decided it needs some variation, so I went down the middle with some darker green. And then these I did, fussy cut them, I guess you could say, out, which I kind of sort of did, but not really. I just cut really, really close, and they weren't perfect. And just to hide the fact that they weren't perfectly cut out, I just went around the edges with the watercolor pens again to cover up any, white spaces or areas where I didn't, get as precise as I should have been. Yeah, this is not my favorite. I don't really like doing this kind of cutting, but sometimes you don't have, you have to, and it looks better. So I did the same with these roses. I just quickly cut them out and then went around the edges to cover up any missed white areas with a pink pen. And you can't, really tell. So did that, and then I decided to figure out how I was going to lay this all out on my page. And so I finally decided on, how I want to put these on my page. And then I grabbed my Aleene's tacky glue to glue them all down. And at this point, I kind of figured, okay, this is good. I like it. I'm done. But I felt like there was something missing. So I did go back the next day and do some more, which you will see that here coming up. And this is where I about glued 2 pages together. I used Aleene's tacky glue, and it seeped through the page to the other side. And then luckily I caught it before it dried and they glued together. And so I put a piece of wax paper in between them to let them dry overnight so they wouldn't be glued together. And I should have left the wax paper there because, as you will see here, I decide I need something more in the background. So I got this stencil that looks like peacock feathers to stencil some white over top. And I did not, of course, have anything between the 2 pages, and again, not thinking, oh, this is a canvas page, it's going to seep through, and it's seeped through to the page underneath. And so, yeah, whatever, it's fine. So here I realized that I was not going to be able to go around the images precisely, so I kind of very quickly cut out the sticky notes to at least cover the general area that I had glued down my images on. And this is, like I said, an afterthought where I felt like it needed something more. So I could have done this better by stamping the image on the sticky note and fussy cutting it out and then putting it down. But who's got time for that, right? I just don't care. It's good enough. I still got it on my image, like around the edges of the flower there and around the edges of the peacock, but I end up covering that up a little bit with going around everything with the black watercolor pen, which you'll see there here in a minute. So I move the stencil around to kind of fill in the background, to get it filled in as best as I can. And I needed something there at the bottom and then along that right edge, but I need to cover up that leaf, so I found a piece that was close enough and then did some on that right edge. And I do clean my stencils. I'm a little OCD about that. So I right away took the stencil to my sink, and I have a scrub brush that's like supposed to be for dishes that I just use to kind of scrub off the paint quickly. And so yeah, I do clean my stencils. So here I go around the edges with this black watercolor pen to help the images stand out more against the background. And the reason why I use the white paint is because, as you can see, it picked up color from the background, which I love that. I love how that picks up that spray ink and, colors it. And I found an oval because if you notice on my quote, it kind of got messed up. I should have put it, like used a glue stick, something not so wet, put it on a piece of cardstock and then put it on my page. The Aleene's tacky glue was just way too thick and it seeped through and kind of messed it up and you can't hardly read it anymore. So I found this oval in my stash. I went around it with the black pen. I took a Sharpie pen and rewrote the quote on that and stuck that on the page. And because I really liked the quote and I really wanted to have this on the page. So a few more things that I do to this page, but this is getting pretty close to the end, so I just wanted to say if you like this video, you can give me a thumbs up. You can also leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you, or you could subscribe to my channel to see more. Here I wanted to add a little bling, so I got my Wink of Stella pens and added that to the flowers on there. And then I noticed that I didn't do so great. Well, here I was cutting off the corners because the corners were sticking out around that oval. But I also noticed that around the peacock I didn't color. There were some white areas that I missed, so I decided to fix that. And I kind of got some white paint in the upper left-hand corner of the peacock that I couldn't really fix, so whatever. And I decided to paint that oval with that same color so it would match the page better. So then I go and I stick that down with some Aleene's tacky glue. And let's see, oh yes, and then I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more to the peacock tail. So I took my purple pen and added a little bit more color inside of the tail of the peacock. So that's it for today. I thank you guys for stopping by and watching. I really enjoyed making this page. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.